ಓ Hello, everyone. The lecture will begin within another 15 minutes of time. Please make sure that all your mics are turned off. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, dear organizers. Could you allow me, please, to share the screen? All right, thank you.
Do Vitwar.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Please keep your mics turned off.
Hello, Mohammad Akib. Welcome.
अरे दिल तू भी वेठो आ जा रहे हैं।
यार इनके बोली समझ में अचे थी पाण वारी।
हाँ हाँ बोली समझ में अचे थी। जी जी समझ में अचे पई तव्हांजी बोली। दिल हुसैन शुरू थी ना बाहर टाइम थी असांखे 10 मिंट।
Everyone, this is a warm request. Please turn off your mic, please. Pasa mi firma. Before we begin the session, this is once again a humble request. Please turn off your mics. Yes, and now let's begin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you are participating from for today's session. And this is Tirunavukarasu Madhivadani, the moderator for today's session. And here I warmly welcome you all joining us from all over the world to this special webinar session organized by the Environment Key Global, a youth-led international environment organization that has been active in about 48 countries since 2021. Environment Key Global has consistently strived to empower young people with environment knowledge, build leadership for a green future, and promote meaningful participation in climate action. Today, through its far-reaching network across Europe, Asia, and Africa, the organization connects with globally recognized environmental institutions to create an inclusive, resilient, and a youth-led, eco-friendly society. Environment Key Global was created in line with great vision of Mr. Jayasankar Sandun Jayasuriya. And today, this webinar session marks a step forward. As a part of our mission, we are introducing a global platform for volunteer youth groups, giving spaces for your voices and creativity to shape the environment discourse around the world. Whether you are a writer, magazine editor, or a video creator, this initiative opens door to sharing your ideas with thousands of young environmentalists around the world. Importantly, it brings you closer to international recognition and collaboration. You're not just participants, but you're the pioneers. To guide you on this journey, we have created a platform to address the work internationally recognized technological tool of arts with the insight of leading experts in the field. And now let's begin the session. And we are honored to invite Mr. Sandun Jayasuriya, the founder of Environment Key Global, a visionary leader who has worked tirelessly to empower young communities globally to address this special webinar session. He will now deliver the welcome address and explain the objective of this special program. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So it is truly an honor to welcome you all to this special webinar session titled Sonic Landscape, Visual Worlds, Art, Music, and Environmental Change. So I am deeply grateful for your presence here today. And I hope this session will be an inspiring space for creativity, reflections, and action. So, Environment Key Global, an international youth-led movement commitment to advancing environmental education, sustainability, and climate resilience across the global south and beyond. Environment Key Global was born from a simple yet powerful belief that young people have the strength, vision, and innovation to lead the world towards a greener and more just future. What began as a small initiative in Sri Lanka has now grown into a vibrant network spanning over 48 countries across Asia, Europe, and Africa, empowering thousands of youth to take action against climate change and environmental conservation. So, our work focuses on four core pillars. First one is adaptation, control, resilience, as well as environmental knowledge management. So, we also strongly believe in the role of art and culture in shaping environmental awareness. That is why today's topic resonates deeply with us. Art and music not only reflect our environment, they also have the power to transform how we connect with it, advocate for it, and protect it. Through platforms like today's webinar, we aim to create a space for interdisciplinary dialogue where environmental science meets creative expressions and where youth voices are placed at the center of global sustainability conversations. I would like to take a moment to sincerely thank and warmly welcome Ms. Alina Maslova, our distinguished speaker, for joining us today. Her work at the intersection of sustainability arts and well-being sets an inspiring example for all of us. So, thank you also to our wonderful moderator and to everyone involved in making this session as an organizing team. So let us use this time not only to learn, but to imagine new ways of storytelling, advocacy, and action for a better and greener planet and greener future. So again, thank you so much, all of you, and also again, warmly welcome all of you today session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And today's keynote speaker is a renowned international personality and a creative visionary. We are honored to introduce Ms. Elena Maslova, a film director, international music producer, COP29 organizer, COP28 lecturer, and the chief advisor of the publishing department of the Environment Key Global. She will deliver a powerful and inspiring keynote address under the title Sonic Landscape, Visual World, Art, Music, and Environmental Changes. Madam, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for these kind words and for the great introductory words. Thank you so much and for this session of the introduction. And I'm super happy to see you all. Thank you guys for coming. And today, yeah, of course, as Mr. Sandun said, we will not only learn something new, but we will figure out some ways how we will achieve sustainability for our own country and on international context. So it's very interesting topic. And yeah, here we go. Let me start. I will share my screen and I hope I will be audible and visible. And today also there will be some interesting technical opportunity as an opportunity to listen to some sounds from the perspective of the lecture. Thank you, Osama, thank you. Yeah, because we will not only just see the screen, but also to listen to some music. Yay, here we go. The subject is very interesting and fun because our artworks as well as our production capacity and our thoughts to build some brand new media, some brand new visible and audio artworks. It's very crucial and significant in nowadays context because of climate change and environmental changes as well. That's why the lecture is about not just environmental change, but about the art and music as an approach to figure out the way to influence on the common consciousness to make people be more conscious and be more responsible for their actions in the context of global changes as well as climate change in particular. Yes, thank you. So the wonderful organizers have already just introduced me, so I won't spend more time. But yeah, everything we saw in this context is actually the truth. And let's talk right now a bit about what is environment art. So our plan for today is to figure out what is art related to environment and climate change and nature related, but not the perspective of problems and solutions of only nowadays context, but also into the historical perspective. I will use the context of European studies, but of course it is applicable for all regions, and also we could provide the analytics for different regions. I decided to just get one region to show the progress, timeline progress, to show the tradition, how the image and how the key concepts can change through the time during the different periods of human history and human thought leaders changing. So it's very interesting. Here we go to figure that out. Okay, we will start from the history of Ika music and history of Ika art. And afterwards, I will give you some guidelines on arts and visual arts. We can discuss everything. And if you would like to have some questions, please write them down. And in the end, we will have the discussion session. Okay. The ideas, as I've said before, of Ika music and Ika arts had definitely changes through the times. Why it was so? Because the understanding of humanity about itself and about the surrounding context had changed as well. So the first notifications and the first evidences about nature and art's connection and the reflection of ancient humans as first art producers. Of course, they were even from the era when people just lived in caves, right? It was like cavemen and cavewomen, and people were starting to reflect like, hey, what's going on around me? I should figure that out, and I should figure out the role of nature. Nature was a huge world for the tiny humanity, right? The humanity population amount was very small, and as well the size of humans even right now in comparison for the nature is almost nothing, right? And the nature was very things of high impression for the people. So they started to think over this subject and trying to figure out how they should think on the nature in context of human well-being. And of course, the role of nature from the ancient times was absolutely incredible. So everything which was happening in the nature and around the nature and close to the nature. That's why we can see the very great amount of music and visual arts related to the nature directly. For example, Australian didgeridoo, we can meet it even right now from like Aboriginal tribes. It is the practice which combines nature with the things to listening to the breath of the nature. Let's try to listen to that right now. And afterwards, we will go to visual arts from ancient times. It's very lucky that we can see the evidence of tribal art.
The biggest benefit of using Adobe Express is how easy
even in nowadays world. Yes. So let's try to turn it on. Okay, almost done. Yeah, YouTube stuff is always like that. Okay, let's listen to it. Okay, seems like it's not like that, but it's fine. We will try once again. And once we will be able to hear that, we will be able to analyze it, right? So it's very interesting experience. And afterwards we will, yeah, so it works, okay.
Right. Four technique. Number one.
The sounds are very vivid and they're made from natural musical instruments. Yeah, have you observed that? Yes, I think so. Because definitely when we start to sing as a music, as a part of nature, which was in ancient times, of course, a lot of musical instruments were made from simple materials. A lot of musical players played just simple instruments and released their understanding of the unity of nature and themselves. Okay, let's pay some attention to visual arts in ancient times. So it's very interesting because once we will see these arts of nature and nature in arts, we will figure out that the key things in this representation of human words is how people started to understand their role into the nature as hunters, as people who collect fruits and veggies, and people who do agriculture, right? So it's not very simple. It wasn't very simple for them to organize things around them, and nature and the reflection on nature and common context was the main idea of these drawings. This is a petroglyphs, right? So petroglyphs, it's a cultural and even UNESCO heritage because seeing these concrete arts, we should figure out how was nature close to like the first humanity, first people who would like to find out how to live in harmony with it. Okay, so the next period is, yes, this is some more petroglyphs, welcome to explore. So this one's in France, and in the European part, because the previous were in Siberia, and also songs like folk songs, like ancient songs from tribes from Siberia, etc., etc. So it's a bright examples of how things should be organized in the context of nature. And the next era is about antiquity and Middle Ages. What does it mean? Slowly, we should move to some parts of civilization, right? Not just we shouldn't explore just ancient tribes, but this is very interesting. But let's slowly move to the understanding of Greek tradition and Rome tradition, ancient civilization. Why music does mean something for them? Because they understand the world not like a concrete event, like rain happens, hunting happens, like thunderstruck happens. No. They started to understand the order, how things are organizing around the world. And here, the nature was the thing of the cosmic order, right? The so-called the astrosphere and atmosphere, like a product. So the nature was the context in which people not just live and trying to figure out what's going on, but they can already collaborate with it. So they started to mention the cultural events as well as natural events in their mythology. As you remember, for example, the mythology of ancient Greeks, there are a lot of people who are doing something, but nature is a definitely inseparable part, which is communicate with interesting which is communicate with people and making like serving as a supplementary for interesting and significant events. That's why it's very crucial as well. And what about the visual? Visual, of course, in ancient Greek, is more like human-centric, like we are egocentric in case of ancient Greek culture. But still, there are a lot of symbols of nature. For example, an eagle. Remember that eagle that come to Prometei and did like suffering for him. Why? Because it was the symbol of vengeance of the gods, right? Here the nature is in a context of gods, right? So gods are very close to nature subject. And in culture, sometimes it's a way to understand what's going on in the entire world. And let's just keep going and figure out that in Middle Ages as well, the God subject, the God topic, is not very separate from human and from nature. Why? Because people were asking, wow, how this world is functioning, we don't know. And they started to reflect on the God, and they started to reflect on nature as like a God's creation. And once we will listening to some Gregorian singings, we will do that right now. We won't like find some words, we won't detect them, right? But the context of these texts is the God has created the nature, and the nature is not the part of the cosmic order. We saw it in ancient Greek culture, but it's a part of God's creation plan. Okay, here we go, and let's try to listen to a bit, a small piece. It's very interesting. If someone is on Kypros, hi on.
Imagine being able to build any.
Okay, just a moment. Ads as usually. All right, we are ready. Yeah, once you listen to that, you will figure out that right now it's not just ancient music instruments and it's not just one voice, right? The reflection of God's creation and around the world was the realization of like crowd singing, like choral, right? So it's a chorus. So we can sing together and we can figure out how should we act, how should we react to the nature and as a case of God's creation. Very interesting. Okay, here we go, and let's also think something about that. Yeah, also we can see that musical instruments already has an evolution. Okay, nature was used as a tool, as an example to create some musical instruments. It's very interesting how nowadays we can try to reduce some nature exploitation, but at the same time, nature could be the solution for creation of music instruments, right? Okay, and slowly we will go to Middle Age. Middle Age, the idea was not just the God's creation and nature, but also see, this is the so-called nature book from France. And if you will have a look to this book, you will figure out how many species in it, right? But still, it's very interesting topic over here that the human is in the center. Still, it's not just a part of the nature. It is the center of the nature. And it's a bit sad for us as like contemporary artists and contemporary eco-activists, right? Because sometimes we should understand that human has the same rights as all animals, but not for Middle Ages. For Middle Ages, it was a perfect idea to separate humanity and human itself from the nature, to lead the technical progress, to lead the technocracy, right? It was just crucial, very important. And that's why we should reimagine it just. But the idea was like that. So religious symbolism also took some place, but not so much as in the period we saw before, because right now the paradigm is slowly changing, and we go not just to God's creation myths, but also to the order where people can act themselves, can do something. For example, look, remember petroglyphs, right? It was like the hunting painted in there, but here we will see the hunting as well. So for our nowadays practices, it's like hurtful practice, right? We don't like that, but still it was a period of life and nature representation in arts. Look how bright are colors right now, because petroglyphs weren't bright, right? They were just white and brown and black. But here a lot of colors. See how colorful industry were developed. So it's very interesting. Okay, here we go. The next period is so-called Renaissance. Renaissance, what does it mean? It means when the history in culture was on one way and they started to develop, they started to be more like developed and unique and beautiful. Renaissance, it means revitalizing, right? So sometimes we can feel that something became very, very beautiful because more research came and we should figure out how to make it more beautiful. That's why the Renaissance and Baroque styles are very interesting and meaningful in nature. Let's figure out what was main ideas for Renaissance and Baroque style. So, for example, Renaissance could give us the reflection of the world as sound of birds, waters, but not as God's creation and not as religious symbolism. No more. No, it was already the symbolism of love, the symbolism of feelings, which is very interesting. Why it was so? Because the paradigm of the reflection of the humanity slowly turned from the idea of God's creation and organization of world order. So humanity just started to understand what's going on very slowly, but still it was. And wow, they said, when we can understand what's going on around around us, let's go deeply in our inner world. And they started to reflect on the humanity and the nature as a matter of feelings. And this paradigm is very useful for our nowadays ideas. Why? Because today we need something like empathy, we need something like feelings. That's why Renaissance paradigm could be very useful for us. Okay, let's see that. And yeah, of course, the motives of love, of sentiments, and in Hispano, like sentimentos, right? So was very, very like impressive and very catchy for the people of this period of time. And let's try to figure out how music had changed and put some attention to visuals, because there will be some changes as well. Okay. I suppose more advertisement? Maybe. Oh no, that's a luck.
Each with his body rouse upon the greeny grass. Each with his body rouse upon the greeny grass.
If you will see some evidences of this picture, you will figure out that, of course, a lot of fun and dance and cultural events had happened on the nature background. Why? Because nature is still an inseparable part of human well-being, right? And at the same time, less emotions and sentiments and empathy and discussions just occurring because people with the development of civilization started to have more free time. Of course, this all happened in the context of this paradigm. Okay, let's go ahead. And yeah, Renaissance we already explore into the music, into the arts, see how it is very look like the Middle Ages pictures, but here the so-called depths appeared. What does it mean, depths? When we see something playing and then we start to see something with more volume, right? So here we can see that some volume happened. So it's very interesting. When we will go ahead and see some more pictures on Renaissance, we will figure out that the so-called genre like paysage appeared in the Renaissance traditions and was the approach to understand the beauty of the nature. And it was, as far as I guess, the first time when people started to just sit down and just enjoy nature. Of course, in sutras by Patanjali, the 5th century, right, we also can see some nature observation, like nature observing. And in Japan culture, yes, but in European culture, no. People just was doing their stuff. They were just hanging around and doing some family stuff, religious stuff, organizing the world. So they don't care about nature. But here, they started to care. They started to say, wow, that's a beauty. And they started to create like paysages, right? So it's very interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Baroque. Baroque, it's a style and a time period. And yeah, don't be tired. We will go to the modern history as soon as we can, just in 10 minutes. And will be nice discussion and questions. But still, we have 3 more periods, and here we go to the modern world. Okay, in Baroque, we will see that culture already were well developed, right? So see, it's a lot of complicated musical instruments, right? A lot of people even wearing wigs and playing the music like violin. Wow, it's a progress. It's a product of nice human progress. But still, nature, it's not only just a context, but the environment, the area, when a lot of feelings, a lot of love plots, a lot of sujets and histories can happen. Here, the focus in this history was to portray, to be like a portrait, to make a portrait of the concrete person, right? It wasn't like just random people understanding. It was just the concrete people understanding, period. And that's why a lot of details, see how beautiful the Baroque period, a lot of details, a lot of colors, a lot of small emotions and small things of clothes appeared over here. And that's why love stories, personal love stories, not love stories for everyone, had happened. And that's why the nature becomes the background for the expressing human's personality. Very interesting, but still over here, that's one mistake in case of sustainability, right? That the human, it's like a creature, a thing, a human being for heading an entire world of species. So no, it's just a mistake. We can constructively critique that, right? And we will do that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Baroque is very interesting. A lot of dynamism and drama. Just look at these smallest details an entire world has created. And this picture of you is quite different. Remember petroglyphs? So petroglyphs was just situations. Ancient Greeks was just situations as well. But Baroque, an entire world was represented in the picture. It was very difficult to create and very, very expensive. Okay. Yeah, so the Baroque pictures looks like that, and what is catchy for my eyes personally is that the nature is quite gloomy, right? It just greens and dark greens, and sometimes some blue, not just a lot of red. Why? Because nature was still the background for religious symbolism as well. So it's a continuation of tradition. Of course, there started to be some paysages, but at the same time, nature was also the context for humans' actions and just to reflect their reality. Okay. Yeah, and look how drawing tradition had changed. Look, the smallest details of trees. Remember Middle Age? Middle Age, no details. So just a tree, it's like 2 or 3 branches and some greens and no technique. Definitely the development of trees appeared, and it was very successful technology pivot. Okay, 19th century, it is Romanticism, and we are very close, just 200 years before us, right? Okay, Romanticism is a very wonderful period. Why? Because not only art, but also classical music, the development of classical music started to showcase nature as something separate from the humanity. For example, if you will remember Per Gynt is a very famous artwork, music artwork by Greek. We will see over here some examples how beautiful was shown the morning. So this artwork is called Morning. Let's listen to it.
How you sound to you is not.
Let's listen to it in just several minutes. Yeah, several seconds, excuse me. This artwork is definitely very interesting because we will hear the tenderness of morning and the temp of nature. Very interesting. Okay. Oh, excuse me, it's Vivaldi. Okay. But still, if you will search for some Greek music, not Greek like ancient Greek, but Edward Grieg, you will figure out that the morning is a very tender, very soft, very interesting music for perception. It will be full of morning like sun rays and trees, the like explicit understanding and the explicit representation of the nature was very significant for this period. So welcome to explore. And this artwork is very famous. So if you would like to search for it, I will help you guys. Okay, something went with the links, but it's not a problem. We will also search for and figure out. Okay, in Romanticism artworks, as well was something interesting, but at the same time, it was, from my perspective, weather and nature wasn't not just gloomy as it was before, but even danger. Just look at that. It is the end of Pompeius, right? It's a very interesting and famous artwork as well. And over here, you can explore and you can see like people suffer from the nature, from the volcano, right? Why it was so? Because here the influence of nature had shown, and look into the techniques. Of course, it's very sad picture, but at the same time, the technique, art technique, is very detailed. Over here, we can see that people are trying to move to get rid of something happened with nature, right? But over here, it wasn't like the evidence of climate change because there was no industrialization still, right? It happened sometimes, some progress went, but still it wasn't very influential like nowadays progress. But still, it was very dangerous and very scary for people. But the weather over here still is gloomy, and sometimes it's not only feelings we saw right now before, right? But over here, it's more for thinkings at like the reflection, discussion, self-discussion. So it's very, very unusual for this period of time. It's like innovation. Very interesting. Okay, here we go next. Yeah, and slowly we go to 20th century, from modernism to ecological anxiety. Why? Because modernism is a very interesting period, and it will come right after the realism. I will explain you why. When people started to do different experiments, and we need this knowledge for our arts and visual understanding, because we should figure out how we will play with artistic vision of nature and environment nowadays, right? We need some background, we need some knowledge. And after the Romanticism had come, so Romanticism was about idealization. Something is very bright, is very tricky, is very attractive, is very interesting, but not real. The realism and art techniques of realism bring us a knowledge that something could be represented as a real things. Do we need this approach in our nowadays arts? Of course we need, because nowadays the way of representation could be the showcase the real picture, not the ideal picture, because we should need to act, we need to act right now, right? Okay, so here we go after. Thank you. Yeah, we just started the recording once again. Okay, let's just keep going and slowly come to Impressionism. Welcome to explore this beauty, this extremely brightness of colors on Impressionism. Why it is so? Because the understanding of how we should draw things, it was very well understood right now. So it was doable and understandable for painters, but the sense of color was the main trend for the experiments. And the sense of forma. If you would like to explore this direction, please welcome to search more. But still we can see over here that the form was like colors and was like flowers, but it not like flowers, right? So it's flowers, but it just look like flowers. So it's very interesting. Welcome to explore this colorful paintings. Very beautiful. Do we need this approach in our contemporary world? Yes, of course, for sure. We need that. We need the Impressionism reflection and reimagine on Impressionism. Why? Because the colorful things can attract more attention of our target audience, right? Yeah, of course, we won't be like Manet. Manet was genius, but at the same time, we could create something similar, and we could use this branding, and we could use this artworks or piece of this artworks to just showcase the beauty of the nature. So isn't that an environment art? Of course, it is environmental art. in our contemporary understanding. Yeah, let's slowly go to modernism. Modernism is a very nice source of understanding the experiments. Experiments were everywhere, in the sound, in the visuals, in social performances, everywhere. Let's try to explore over here the nice artwork made by one French composer. And the reflection was how birds can be represented in music. Very weird. I will warn you guys, it's very weird. But still, it's very interesting to just look at. Okay. And listen to, of course. Just try to listen to. Wow. It's something very hard understandable.
This is how we made our work.
Oh no, advertisement once again. Yeah, I will show you just in a second, okay. Yeah.
We need to make it.
We'll show you just a moment. Yeah, the uniqueness of this artwork is in the case. Yeah, something scary, right? Something scary and something weird. Don't very well understandable. But the matter and the main idea, the main focus of this artwork was to focus on the ideas of experiment. So over here, the French composer created this work trying to represent voices of different birds. You will definitely surprise why birds. So it doesn't look like birds, but still, if you will hear more in this artwork, you will figure out that there are a lot of similarities with birds' voices. But it was just an experiment. The experimental arts happened, right? Why? Because on the level of like the development of an entire society, more free time appeared once again. And it wasn't just a free time for spending on creation or being curious about something or organizing the order around yourself, but also thinking about arts. How can we modify arts? So it's a civilization development marker as well. Okay, modernism is a period where nothing clear, but that's fine, absolutely. Some very bright and very well understandable forms of arts, right? Like abstractionism had happened and occurred. If we see over here the nature, you will see, of course, simple forms like the sun, the circle. Yeah, we will understand. We will reduce over here some additional elements like green grass, like tops of the mountains. Why? Because the main idea of the creator was to showcase the primitive forms, but at the same time the rhythm and the energy, the proportion. So it's very interesting and how we can use this as well. We can create something like contemporary arts exhibitions and even our own perception, unique perception, to showcase the common well-known nature and climate problems. So we can deal something with it using the abstractionism experience. Surrealism, of course. This picture, this drawing is called the paysage with butterflies. And it is so, I hope, yeah, I hope it is so because it looks like definitely so. But what was the idea of surrealism and nature? To define what is the landscape, what is the metaphor, what is the conscious and subconscious of people. It was the new paradigm in the history and a very wide period in where it was different representation of people dreams, of people fantasies, just in paintings, within the paintings, right? So you can see it over here. And welcome to Explore Here. You know what does it mean? The title of this drawing, it is called The Field. So it is a field. Imagine, yeah. So it is definitely the field, but there are just several observations which could be markers of the field, right? The forms and the figures and the things of the reality is very, very transformed, just in style. So it's a style, surrealism. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Eco agenda right now, we figured out right now when we were listening to the catalog of birds album. It was very unique experience. I hope so, because it wasn't about the classical canon of music. It wasn't like the classical tradition of artworks, right? And yeah, it's not very obvious even how to listen to them. Okay, one more paradigm which was created in 1960. It was artistic expression on the so-called land art. It appeared even simultaneously with the culture of hippies. I will provide some info about them just in a moment. But welcome to explore the land art of 60s is very impressive, because the idea, the concept for this land art was not just to represent the nature, but take the nature as co-creator and create something together with it, right? Okay, let's explore some artworks. Look, it's apples and some, I hope it's flowers. I'm not sure, but still. So it's very interesting, yellow stripes. And if we see some shells, so it's a spiral form, could be a metaphor of the like life order, right? So our time is just going and going as a spiral, some events just happening from time to time during the different historical periods. And at the same time, shells, it's definitely artworks from the entire nature, so we can use it as an element. Could we use it at COP30? Yes, of course. We can just grab some shells and we can even create a performance with like real attributes of our nature. Or we can grab some apples and bring some performance with the fruits. It could be a metaphor of fruitful discussion, fruitful solution, fruitful communication. Okay. Yeah, the culture of hippie, I already told you, this definitely played a major role for the environmental consciousness. Why? Because the philosophy of hippies was, please guys, welcome to put more attention to the nature because we are the part of it. Remember, we explored right now that in middle-aged history, the human was in the center. So some species around and just human. Hippies said, no, please put some attention to different species. They are suffering from your actions, guys. So we should be closer. Of course, hippie culture is like a strong critique culture, right? So it's guys who had a strong critique to the progress. Of course, it was a so-called reduction. They were trying to get rid of as much as like progress stuff, progress things, and they just went back to the nature. Like literally went back, right? So sometimes it's very hard for us to literally go back to the nature because we still need some progress. And our task as researchers, as explorers of art and environmental things and sustainability to find the balance between these parts. Okay, and it was definitely the reason for eco-activism started to develop and to enter into our like modern humanity of 20th century, because music start to react to ecological problems. The impact calculated by researchers, scientists, the humanity impact on an entire nature was already dangerous. So a lot of researchers started to understand that, and even a lot of musicians like Pete Seeger. So Pete Seeger started to play country music to support nature and environment, not only like global things. Remember Michael Jackson, the Earth song, right? So the Michael Jackson had created a song for everyone, for every people. So it was a song of globalism. But Peter Seeger's approach wasn't like that. His approach just to showcase a small things, a small changes on a positive side of moon. Let's try to figure out what is the song by Pete Seeger. If we will be lucky and we will hear, it would be nice. If won't, no.
Hey, do you want to start working towards...
No worries, we will just go ahead. But let's try, of course. Let's try. Okay.
Sailing down my dirty stream, still I love it, and I'll keep the dream that someday, though maybe not this year, my Hudson River will once again run clear. It starts high in the mountains of the north, crystal clear and icy trickles forth, with just a few floating wrappers of chewing gum, dropped by some hikers to warn of things to come.
Yes, what Peter Seeger's approach can teach us. So we could use simple steps, and we could use simple approaches to showcase to express the love and warm feelings to our nature, to our environment. Look how Pete Seeger just told that it is his river, it is his nature, so he would like to interact with it. He would like to see this river as a clean one. It will be in the end of the song. He will tell like, I would like to see my river as a clean one. So it's a very nice approach to use the so-called discourse of nowadays life, of the routine life, routine discourse. We can use routine discourse just to showcase the nature, because the nature is not the abstract thing which is very far from us. No, it is around us, even in our houses. I think we can have some home plans, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, about activism we already explored. About visual activism, let's explore as well. Very interesting. Sometimes some artists started to react as well, and they follow the traditions of creation, the performances as usual, the performances, the artwork, but using the topic and the main focus of nature. For example, Joseph Beuys had provided not just one environmental campaign, no, the entire creation of like creative process of him, and even his books were focused on how to defend the nature. He played a role in our 20th century society as like a natural defender. So he used metaphor of defense. So we should protect, we should save, we should keep it all. And finally, let's go to our modern world. Yay, welcome to 21st century, guys. We're just 25 years before us. But still, we have a lot of different and interesting actions. We won't start from zeros and even from tens. We will start from nowadays. For example, these actions for protests, for environmental protests, surrounding by people which started to unite, right? As like music and accompaniment groups, as music bands, as an orchestra. Yeah, it started to happen, definitely. So people just came, started to play music, and started just to cry something and scream something like, hey, let's protect nature, hey, we will be together in one context, please do not do some harmful actions. So people to start raise the awareness from the perspective of the protest. But I would like to tell you guys, protest is not the only one way. It's not the only one way to attract attention. It's not the one approach. We will figure out how else we can attract attention a bit later. Okay. Yeah, this is a nice artwork of surrealism. Yeah, but modern surrealism. The year of this creation is 2019. Very interesting. And you know why I took this picture? Because remember the world views, right? In Baroque, we saw that a lot of angels and people and nature and cosmic creation just united in one picture. In petroglyphs, it was just a plain picture. In Greek and Egypt, civilization same. In surrealism, it was different landscapes, but without any focus to the nature. Nature wasn't the main protagonist, right? But here, nature is a protagonist. If we will see in 2019, the nature over here, look, it's just a small baby plant, right? But still, it has already some flowers, very beautiful. But it wasn't be just a plant. If we will see a bit down, we will see the civilization constructions. It's maybe a railway or something like that, and it could be even some reservoir with water, and it could be even some forest. So the landscapes are different, but nature in all landscapes is represented, and it is a 2019, so very well focused on nature contemporary art. Yeah, encourage action on biodiversity and pollution reduction. It's a main focus of contemporary natural solutions, as well as art and visual art solutions. And yeah, right now we just finished the first part about the history of environmental arts. Yeah, imagine how big it is. Wow, in each period people started to use nature in the context of arts, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously, sometimes without consciousness. Sometimes they just use and don't put some attention on it, okay, because nature is the main context. It's a world in which we are living, so it's not just a part of our reality, it's a part of our being. It's part of our environment, that's why. And environmental arts of nowadays, it's very wide. It's full of different directions. For example, we can just come to biodiversity art, water art, ocean art, wildlife art. Sometimes it is concentrate around plants in indoor gardening art. So very wide range and assortment of directions of eco art. But today, of course, as well as we are on environmental key session, which is very close to environment protection, right? We will concentrate on biodiversity arts. Let's do just a brief research together, and we will figure out what types of arts could be used today and why. Okay. The main question of the biodiversity arts of nowadays is how culture and arts development can help us to adapt to climate change and save biodiversity. Nice question, because we can see that arts are beautiful, the paintings are impressive, but what is the impact? We can't measure it. And sometimes people just tell, ooh, the impact from arts is very hard to measure. Agree, but there are some techniques how we can measure that. Okay, let's start. First of all, the main evidence that the art of biodiversity is impactful when we are researchers are doing art research we figure out that genre was changed. Remember maybe 18th and 19th of 20th century, when you were the child, what cartoons, what films did you like? Maybe it was like Indiana Jones films, or it was just Disney production, or it was maybe some adventures, and sometimes it was action films. Remember when just bad guys fight against police and the detectives? Yeah, it was the stories that we definitely liked. But nowadays, no, another ethic came. And we started to think, ooh, we don't like detectives. No, we like, but it's not the agenda. It's not the agenda. The agenda today is to pay attention to things who could bring us survival, who could bring us nature-based solution. And this is the main focus of today's art. That's why genres started to transform as well. Action film started to be nature-focused action film. Detectives started to be ecology criminal detective films. Why? Because the agenda is super important, and culture started to react to the agenda. It started to reflect. Imagine when you touch the water, the water will reflect to you, right? So the same process is happening with art and culture. And that's why the highlight climate agenda, the crucial, very, very crucial thing nowadays, we should produce some arts to increase awareness about climate change. But it won't be just arts based on the direct message. Hey guys, we should save the climate, because your target audience will ask, save how? How we could save that? We don't have an idea. We don't care. We just go to our shop and buy plastic bag because we would like to just live our life. No nature, so it doesn't matter for us. But we should understand ourselves. It's super important to understand by ourselves and then to translate values that we could transform the context, we could transform the reality together, we could protect climate together. Even if you are not researcher, that's fine. But it's hard to ensure people to act, to react, to understand. That's why artworks are existing, because their aim to ensure people they can reflect to the climate as well. Yeah, and why? Okay, so they reflected on the climate, they understand, okay, this is important and we should do something. But they start to behave, and this behave shouldn't be concrete as well. That's why in contemporary arts, we should include some behavior models and behavior norms. For example, if some people would like to act, but they have no idea how to act, they should see it on the screen and just repeat, right? So there is an example over here of our production. We did the so-called YouTube show on circular economy, when we just show the models of behavior for people how to behave in the era of climate change. So if people will see some films with nice superheroes who will act in case of climate, in case of environment, who will be friendly and kind, who will support the weak ones, who will try to improve the world, they will follow. They will follow, because it's a very nice idea of self-representation in our world. Everyone would like to be a hero, but hero is not just Spider-Man who save the population, who save people from the criminals. You can be the hero, you can be the superhero. If you would like to protect the climate, you can be the hero of contemporary. Okay, and about the context, I already mentioned that we should create the artwork with the narrative world in which there will be a hero we can follow, we can do behavior change with our famous protagonist. But how? Definitely, we need some knowledges, we need some research. And of course, a lot of researchers are brilliant and wonderful, and they delivered their approach we should use in a very fruitful way. But at the same time, there are a lot of knowledge which could be easier to grab, right? So this knowledge is the so-called traditional language, local, cultural, community knowledges. So it's a different approach which weren't tested, but community definitely could approve that yes, it works. In this context, it works. Of course, guys, you even from different NGOs, and thank you for coming today into the session. And of course, you even know better than me, than community knowledge sometimes save people in a very effective way. So why won't we include these community technologies into film? Of course we will. Of course we will. Okay. Yes, the only and the very interesting part, but not the only, no, it's not the only, but one of the most important and very interesting part we can pay attention on is the so-called international collaboration and communication. If you somehow related to United Nations or intergovernmental agencies, you will see that the idea of diversity, even in places, even in small cities right now, is very well developed, and we are keep developing that, right? Be polite, use multicultural approach. We can have conversations even via Zoom and TikTok and WhatsApp with entire world. That's why the culture of international is very meaningful and significant to include into our films and songs. We should showcase a new reality. Reality right now already had changed. Arts, no, arts is very slow moving. We are using artworks of 80s, of 90s, of 2000s, but we don't use arts of nowadays. Our idea is to create new arts, to shift the norm and to showcase new reality. Okay, yeah, that's why this is a question, why people should interact into another way. Because different languages, different psychology, different backgrounds, different cultural understanding and norms. How should we react into this reality? It is a question, and artworks could provide a nice explanation via protagonist and different personages, different characters. So different characters just can come and can interact with each other. And if someone is just go from supermarket, put just himself or herself into the sofa, just turn on the video, the TV, and see how new protagonism are reacting. So he or she will figure out how to act as well. Remember, our target audience is not NGOs. Our target audience is not people who are very aware about climate change. Our target audience is people who have no idea and sometimes even don't care. Okay. Yeah. The question, and very nice artistic question about aesthetics, really exists an entire period of the existence of eco art. We should understand what is acceptable to show, what isn't acceptable to show at all, and right now we are developing the green policy standards. We should understand that sometimes it's ethical to showcase on the screen. Sometimes something could be hurtful, right? Remember a lot of, unfortunately, news with violence. It's very hurtful to see this violence and afterwards on the morning time just woke up and feel some anxiety, right, and uncomfortable feelings about, ooh, how many violence is going on around. Yeah, that's why we should bring some aesthetics and ethical background, so it won't be disgusting, because disgusting is a bit destroying. Of course, the problems over here we are highlighting today are huge, and sometimes they are disgusting. But our main focus and our main idea and aim to make it acceptable to the audience, even it is sometimes very bad and very hard. Knowledge and green skill sharing won't comment, guys. because you understand it, I hope, very well. Because definitely there are a lot of researchers, as I've said, and we could definitely apply for universities for collaboration and use think tank capabilities to build our capacity to understand what's going on and then bring it into the screen, right? So it's very important. Yeah, the philosophical part is one of my favorite and very famous part to reflect on. We should understand the idea and visionary and mission and it is very close to ethics. We should understand somehow what behavior we should deliver and what world we would like to live in. Because as far as we know, if we start to do some research on philosophy, we will figure out that the best world is a different world for everyone. And we will create something like a conventional common world view we would like to showcase. Very, very significant part. Okay, awareness in places, guys, very, very important as well. Why? Because in different contexts, agenda is quite the same, but still it's time sensitive. For example, in Congo, a lot of social problems are happened and we should put some attention to that. In Australia, we already could put some attention on environmental stuff. So it's not very destroying for people, like, I mean, poverty. Of course, there is some level, but it's not like, for example, in Congo. That's why we should put some attention to like environmental issues, likely than on social ones. We can focus, we can allow it for ourselves. But in regions when we need the social development and basic needs development, maybe we should focus first on the closure, on basic needs. So once if you are in your region, try to explore SDG index in your country and figure out what problem you would like to close for the first order. Okay, yeah, absolutely. As far as I've said, new feelings and emotions definitely could be provided via our arts. Over here, this is an example when we created like a postcards with positive poetry. Why? Because sometimes people understand the problem, but our organism works in a way that we will react to the problem even we have emotional involvement. If we won't have emotional involvement, no, we will just know and we will just live with that, but we won't react. Because the behavior of humanity, an entire humanity, and in particular our local community and even ourselves, based on emotional reactions and feelings. And if we will feel that we will react. If we won't feel that the problem should be solved, we will live as usual. But sometimes we will maybe give some small help, but it won't be like urgent, serious. Feelings help us to put the priority. Okay. New superhero. So okay, I already just provided my speech about that, and some examples by Cartoon Network, for example, Welcome to Explore. It's a whale tale cartoon on plastic pollution. Very interesting, and it's for kids. Subconsciously, it's already involving people to act, to react. It's already growing the first generation who could be environmentally consciousness and responsible from the very beginning, from their birth. And we, as content creators and art creators, even could put some attention to adults, because to influence children, it's, you know, it's another way. It's from one hand, it's easier. From the other way, we should know technology very well. We should know the children's psychology very well. So it's a different approach to influence on adult audience. It's another story. Adults sometimes don't build much trust around the concept. That's why the technology should be different. Okay. Yeah, and last but not least, of course, we provided such a serious lecture over here, right? With a lot of emotions, and we just moving so intensive, so fast. Oh my gosh, it was like super powerful and the fruitful just presentation. It will be fruitful discussion as well afterwards. But don't forget about gamification, guys. If you can bring some elements of gamification, of helping people to act like a child, it will be even better sometimes, because the problems are super serious. Some humor, and we need some gamification models trying to help people just to get rid of the critical barrier of conscious, the barrier of critique, the barrier of untrust. And people just start to come, and people just start and get involved into the game. It's a way of inviting people into the new context without any stress. So this is an example over here that two wonderful co-founders, women, had created a book for small children like 3-5 years to put some animals into the environment background and to just describe them and to play with these cards, with the stickers. So very nice approach. We can use some interactive approaches in our arts as well. For example, interactive exhibition, right? If we launch the art exhibition, we will go and we will even can offer some QR code scanning, some soft toys, some merch, some interactive borders or something like that. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, of course, the main thing we were discussing today, it was the inner conflict and mental health. Why? Because our environment, which is external, sometimes it's a reflection of what we have within. If we will explore sometimes the accommodation, the rooms, in which people with depression are living, you will figure out that their rooms are very chaotic. They don't clean them because they can't. They have the depression, they have the mental disorders, and sometimes they just forgot to clean the space. The same is happening when our arts started to be produced with mental trauma. It could be very traumatic. It could be not super influential, or it could be influential but in a wrong way. And our idea, our main message, to clean the space, to clean the space, to clean the nature, to clean the technology, to make it more vivid, to help nature. And yeah, let's just summarize. We heard as much as possible from my perspective. And of course, I would like to tell you that the main idea on the 21st century is a context of inclusion. A lot of inclusion is existing nowadays from over the world, from different communities, local communities, LGBT communities, indigenous communities, different professional, narrow professional communities, subcultures. Today, diversity and inclusion, and even, even inclusive, right, environment with people, including people with some disabilities from time to time. It's very, very important to use these approaches. It's very important to invite everyone into this fruitful discussion. So it's very interesting to live into our contemporary context. And I would like to just finalize with one song made by Patagonia. It's a contemporary artists, two of them. It's a band with nice Japanese violin player. And let's just finalize and we'll figure out as the queer community had supported the glaciers and the climate as well. I will show you just 30 seconds in a end, guys, because there is a nice creed over here. there will be a nice slogan, and afterwards we will go ahead and finish our lecture, and we will come to the discussion. Yeah, the music is wonderful, definitely. Okay. Let's see a bit into the end. Don't give up on nature. Don't give up on each other. Thank you. Our world is for everyone, guys. And I'm so happy that I can deliver this lecture to showcase how our world could be for everyone, for each community representative, for each country representative, for each language representative, just from everyone's perspective. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation, and I'm super helpful to answer your questions.
Thank you, madam, for that valuable insight. And now the floor is open for Q&A session. Please feel free to ask your questions now.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have any questions on the periods of arts productions, for example, you are interested in Middle Ages, right? Middle Ages, or you are interested in Romanticism, or you're interested in contemporary arts, but you would like to learn more, for example, for Israel word or Black word, or for LGBT word, or you would like to interested more indigenous people world, so you can be open. Feel free to ask me questions as much as possible, because I'm an expert. I work with 193 countries, so from globally, and you can ask me about anything you would like to learn. We will figure out something. And definitely I can provide you some advice on the possible research. If you would like, I can share you some links and you could develop your research or friends. And don't be shy. Thank you. Yeah. Piyumi, do you have some question? Yeah, Rimsha has questions. I can read the chat. And Piyumi, if you still have question, please let me know. Rimsha has question. What about oceanic sounds? Sounds like the sounds of ocean, she means. And earth referred to as breathing. Okay, that's a wonderful question. And thank you, Rimsha, for that. I really extremely love the agenda of the ocean, and I recommend you to have a look to COP29, like different organizations who were participated. And remember, like a couple of months ago, it was like UN Ocean Conference. Rimsha, if you would like, welcome to explore. You know why? Because the main idea of ocean is to showcase two different approaches. One, how wildlife in the ocean can be conserved, and another idea, how people can treat in case of ecotourism, right? In case of usage of water resources, and make balance between wildlife and the human civilization. So this is two main topics we can demonstrate, we can provide. What type of ocean art we could use? Of course, we could use a sound of oceans. That's a wonderful sound. And right now we are preparing for COP30 Brazil, and we use ocean sound in one of our songs. On the behalf of nature, Brazilian nature. So you can do something like that. And also you can paint these animals, and but not just animals, they live without any humans around. You can create a story, try to create a story when and why people started to interact with ocean wildlife, and what harm or what conservation they started to provide to them. And try to emotionally reflect on that, try to understand how definitely do you like the story, or your protagonist need to be more kind, or your protagonist still is looking for some solutions. So try to reflect, and of course don't forget about your target audience. If you are looking for something on ocean life, it means that you will influence on people who somehow conducted their life nearby oceans. They related somehow to oceans, right? And in this case, just reflect what dangerous or what environmental changes they are suffering from, and what changes wildlife is suffering from, and trying to find some scientific solutions, and afterwards implement in your story. Thank you. Okay, here we go. How can I connect with you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not a problem. Yeah, guys, I can leave over here the contact info. Okay. So link is not okay. Let's doesn't okay. Okay. Yeah, if you yeah, user Samsung SM A134. If you have any question, please ask me. Okay. Okay. So music is interesting. Okay, yeah. I hope so. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I like medieval's music definitely, because no, I like everything, but middle age is very unusual to hear. Remember, so you just live your life in 21st century, and how many times did you usually hear middle age music? Not very often. That's why I found it very interesting as well. Okay, so yeah, no more comments, guys. I don't see more in the chat. And if you need me for a couple of minutes still, welcome to can you advise on how we can incorporate our music and art here in Africa? Yeah, absolutely. I have one friend from Cameroon and from Botswana as well, and some friends from Kenya. And music is your part of your traditional rituals and organizing of your nowadays life. If you will bring some nature knowledge into your legends and rituals, it will be definitely influential to your tribe, to your community. If you will bring some contemporary solutions, for example, if you would like, welcome to use some Western music, why not, right? If you would like, welcome to use some contemporary music, that's fine as well. If your people would like to understand more about nature, just take a piece of paper or your smartphone and create a list of 5 key ideas you would like to bring to your local community. And if you would like to wildlife conservation idea implement, okay, that's super. You will work with that. If something else, that's fine as well. When you will figure out, for example, you would like to bring conservation ideas, you can write some text for your future music. Or you can, if you are not a poet, you can just grab some music from the internet related to your topic, and then you can showcase to your friends, showcase to your local community, showcase to your discussion time when you guys are gathering, and just enjoy. It won't be like the teaching process, okay? When someone is sitting and just listening with serious faces, oh, we're listening to music about nature. No, it will be the entertainment process. Just try to entertain people, and slowly, step by step, they will understand the key ideas. You can also provide some explanations, dear. If you would like, you can just tell, hey guys, we would like to reflect on that. Let's commonly reflect, because the environmental agenda is very significant nowadays. So just act step by step. And absolutely, your question is wonderful, and the impact you will get will be incredible, I promise you, because from the first perspective view, it will be nothing, but it will have the accumulative effect. So one by one, the emotion starts to accumulate, and afterwards, it will bring to the solution. Okay. African music is now predominantly absorbed by the Western music, especially in America. Yeah, I know, and that's sad. That's sad, because we should understand the identity, and we should understand. Thank you so much. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, absolutely. And this process happens even in post-Soviet space. I know that very well. And in Spanish communities as well, it happens. Unfortunately, it happens. What could you do, guys? You could create a project on conservation, on the local ethnical music, and start working with that. You could save, you could conserve your own music, because it's super important in global context. Your solutions are unique solutions. We won't be just around Western music 100%, right? We won't do like that. We should understand the global concept, but at the same time, be very aware that it's just a global concept. It's not your own. It's not your own idea and identity. Your own identity should be conserved. And yeah, you can put some attention. If you need some help with project, you can reach me. Okay. Okay, guys. How can development? Yeah, how can this help? How can this help us building career in environmental field in a developing country with less resources? Okay, Rimsha, thank you for your question. From the perspective of market and sector with less resources, of course, the first priority is to survive. Definitely. Don't put much attention if you understand that the resources are extremely limited. We should understand, first of all, what should we do with the strategy of increasing our resources, right? But if some guys are musicians by profession or painters by profession, if some guys have still free time, which is rare, I understand, this is rare in areas with limited resources. Thank you for highlighting that. It's definitely a true social problem. But if we will have 2 or 3 leaders who can build environmental culture, they definitely could be even hired with a company who are looking for high professional specialists in your location. If you are, for example, in Chad, or in Cameroon or in different country, you can even apply for career environmental culture specialist in one company who could provide like monetary help, right? So they can pay you for your culture work. It's like in social sector. If you are looking for personally for yourself, if you are looking for the entire sector, entire market, the idea is to involve as much as possible local power. If you have local power, like local musician, local event makers, managers, right? Involve them. It's not a problem. Okay. Yeah. If you still have a question as open, please let me know. Okay. Thank you so much, madam. Interesting musical part. I will try to. Tamil music one time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nito. Yeah. Big hugs as well. Okay. Do you offer trainings how art music can be used in climate change? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Venus. Yeah. You can contact me. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. How can I build my career in sustainability in USA? Yeah, it's a very nice question, but I would like to just give you some hint that USA market is huge. If you would like to start, don't be shy, just start, because market is really huge, really huge, and yeah, absolutely. This market is very huge. Welcome to do that. And if you feel that you like some part, for example, climate studies, or for example, environmental art, build first your portfolio from 2 or 3 cases, and afterwards just looking for some work. Your English is perfect, so you can hire. You can be hired. It's fine. Thank you for the amazing presentation. It's been inspiring and eye-opening. I will be in touch. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, organizers, Mr. Sandun, and other organizers. Thank you so much. I'm highly honored and appreciated to be over here with you on the floor and took some stage for an hour and participate as a lecturer for today. Thank you.
Yes, of course. I think question also over. Before the end of session, I would like to give the time for thank Ms. Alina Maslova for the accepting my invitation and also deliver the very interesting and very informative lecture. So again, thank you so much, Alina Maslova, for your dedication and for your contribution for the future, greener future. So thank you all of you for the participation. Yes.
Once again, on behalf of the Environment Key Global, I would like to take a moment to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Alina Maslova for sharing valuable insights and expertise during this special webinar on sonic landscape, visual world, art, music, and environment change. Your passion for bridging art, music, and environment awareness is truly inspiring. Thank you, madam, for enriching our knowledge and sparking meaningful conversation. And thank you all for being here. And may this workshop be the beginning of your journey to shape a greener, more informed, and a collaborative world. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. I would love to provide even more workshops on different regions. You know, today we explored European tradition, but it's not the only tradition, right, guys? Yeah, absolutely. If you would like to create an observation review on African territory or Central Asia and the Pacific, or Australia, or like post-colonial world, or something like that. Even topic you would like to have to get explored. So we can do that. That's even interesting and very fruitful because we have a lot of guests. Thank you for joining. 70 guests, and definitely we could provide even practical exercises and common discussion. yeah, welcome to extend the topic in the future with me. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
So we finished, right? Bye for now.
Thank you.